Pregnant woman orders an alcoholic drink, but server refuses to give it to her. I have waited tables for the last 3 years. During my shift last night, a group of 4 women in their late 20s came in. They were a pleasure to have as customers. They ordered 4 of our house cocktails to start with, and then went over the menu for their entrees. When I was on my way back to their booth with the drinks on a tray, I walked by the back side and overheard one of them talking about how she was 14 weeks along. When I rounded back, they were talking about the same topic, and it was clear to me that she was pregnant. I figured her having 1 drink wasn't a big deal. They ordered their entrees, and I went off to handle other tables. About 5 minutes later, they called me over again and asked for another round. At this point, I started getting concerned, but I took the order and cheerfully said I'd be right back. This time, I went to the bartender and asked him to make one of them a virgin cocktail. He was confused, but since he's a good friend of mine, I told him to just trust me. A few cocktails later, hers strictly virgin, they started getting rowdy, and Mrs. Pregnant Woman was also getting into it. I figured that since she didn't notice, things were okay. The problem came when I took them their check, and they asked to split the bill at the register. When Mrs. Pregnant Woman got to the counter, I saw her cocktails were marked with virgin. My bartender had edited each in the system for inventory. It was too late for me to edit them back, so I just had her pay, hoping that she wouldn't look at the receipt. They all thanked me and left, leaving a generous tip in the process. They were talking in the parking lot for the next short while, presumably waiting for an Uber. Several minutes later, Mrs. Pregnant Woman came back and asked what virgin on the receipt meant. I fessed up that it meant non-alcoholic. She blank stared me for a few seconds and then asked if she had ordered a non-alcoholic cocktail. I said no, but told her that I assumed she wanted one, seeing as she was pregnant. It was a lame lie, and I'll admit it, but she looked me in the eye and asked me to return her part of the tip. I did so. Then she talked to my manager. My manager took me into her office and literally shrieked at me until hoarse. I stood my ground and told her that I'm not going to be responsible for FAS. She told me that she was taking me off the calendar until she decided what to do with me. She also informed me that I could get the restaurant in serious trouble for discrimination, and upon examination of my state's laws, she is correct. But when I talked to my mother and father about it tonight, they told me that they understood my position. The entire staff at the restaurant is against me, and I think that I'm going to call in and tell my manager that I quit, but I still feel in the right here. I would like some perspective on this, and if I'm the a-hole here, response 1. Everyone sucks here, but you had good intentions. She sucks for obvious reasons. You sucked because you had no way to prove she was pregnant, you altered her drink without informing her, and you made a big decision without speaking to your manager. Edit, if she isn't pregnant, OP is the sole a-hole here for the same reasons mentioned above. OP won't even expand upon what he overheard, just keeps quoting himself saying she was definitely pregnant. And to the snarky a-holes saying, is that the only way to tell if someone is pregnant? And let me just carry a test around. Obviously not, but this also isn't about the customer trying to prove she's pregnant. It's about OP and his choice to assume the customer is pregnant simply by overhearing a conversation. OP could have asked the customer, but he still should have talked to his manager first before altering someone's food without telling them. Reply 1, but the woman doesn't suck for obvious reasons. OP didn't actually know for sure that she was pregnant, no matter what they thought they heard. She may have been talking about a past pregnancy, or worse, past miscarriage, someone else, a surrogate caring for her, or even just a play in which she was acting as a pregnant woman. And even if she was pregnant, she may have been planning to terminate soon. If she was pregnant, for all OP knew, the woman was going to have to terminate a wanted pregnancy due to fatal fetal defects. The woman's friends took her out to make her feel better, and the OP came along and made her feel worse. Reply 2, oh boy, if this was a miscarriage situation, I feel especially bad for that lady. I was just assuming she was chubby and OP assumed the wrong woman was pregnant. Reply 3, this is what I said. Maybe this was a cheer-up party for her. Surrogacy is an excellent example I hadn't thought of. OP complained she kept ordering drinks, but she was probably noticing they weren't having any effect and thought they were making the drinks too weak. Reply 4. I agree with the everyone sucks here. OP sucks because while it was a good thing to not serve her alcohol, they should have sucked it up and said it to their face that she wasn't going to be served. Right to refuse service and all that, but they handled it very poorly. Reply 5. Yeah, the problem is that if OP does that, the restaurant can be sued. Pregnant women are a protected class. This is an incredibly sticky situation. Response 2. Why Tia? Unless you saw the woman pee on a pregnancy test, you had no way of knowing for sure that she was pregnant. She could have been talking about someone else, a past pregnancy, or she could be planning to terminate the pregnancy. That wasn't your call to make. Reply 1. Even if the OP was sure she was pregnant, it's not their call to make. Pregnant women still have the right to make their own decisions about what to consume. Reply 2. If the woman was pregnant and planning to carry to term, then she's an a-hole too. Yes, she can exercise her right to put alcohol in her system, and OP doesn't have the right to make her decisions for her. But it doesn't stop her from also being an a-hole for making the decision to exercise that right. Without knowing the woman's circumstances, however, she may have been intending abortion or OP misheard the conversation. We can't really know, so I agree it's a you're the a-hole. Reply 3. Where I live, Ontario, Canada, OP could be sued out the ass for sex discrimination. Can't refuse or alter service based on pregnancy because it's considered a human rights violation. So could the bartender, manager, and business itself. What OP should have done is asked to transfer the table to another server if he or she morally disagreed with the woman's choice to drink while pregnant. Reply 4. I live in America, and I'm pretty confident it's the same here. I remember getting a speech about it when I waited tables. Not our job or right to be the moral police. Reply 5. Hello, fellow Ontarian. I was cringing as I read it. 100% discrimination here. OP is you're the a-hole. I agree he should have switched servers. Great idea. Response 3. Why TA? I've spent most of my working years in food service, and half of that time has been in management. If I was your manager, I would have fired you on the spot. While I agree that pregnant women shouldn't be drinking, you never change a customer's order without their consent. If you had an issue with her drinking, you should have taken it to your manager and let her deal with the situation. Reply 1. At the very least, if OP had a moral disagreement, refusal to serve the alcoholic drink would have been the way to go, not switch it to non-alcoholic without consent. Plus, OP was going to hide that fact, resulting in the customer being wrongfully charged, presumably more had not the bartender adjusted the receipt. Reply 2. If she had a moral disagreement, she should have done what I mentioned in my comment. Take it to her manager and let them deal with the situation. Instead, she took it upon herself to put the jobs of who knows how many people in jeopardy, tarnish the reputations of her bosses. Reply 3. Exactly. I personally would have had a moral issue if she was in fact pregnant and planned on keeping it, but those are details you can't just guess at based on a few seconds of overhead dialogue. If I was convinced, I would have informed the manager or straight up told the customer. Informed consent is necessary at all times. Changing someone's food without them being aware is a big nope. Reply 4. You never change a customer's order without their consent. Imagine if whatever OP added was something she was allergic to, and she lost the baby because of a life-threatening allergic reaction. I'm sure that would go over well in court. Response 4. YTA. You don't get to decide what another person of legal age decides to consume. Mind your own business. Reply 1. Christ, now it's okay for pregnant women to drink not only one but multiple alcoholic drinks? I'm sorry, but what in the ever-loving F? Reply 2. It's not okay in the slightest, but you don't get to decide what someone else does to their own body. Reply 3. In the slightest is a bit of a stretch. I can see where OP was coming from. Alcohol fetal syndrome is no joke. Reply 4. Father of a preemie daughter here. Due to her being on oxygen when born, her lungs were damaged. I already had a disdain for smokers, but now more so. People actually used to smoke outside the entrance to the hospital. Pregnant mothers too. I see parents walking with babies and a cigarette in hand, inches away from the baby. This angers me to my very core. I want to scream at them, tell them they are the worst parents. I don't though, because it's not my place, is it? I'll agree OP is you're the a-hole, because it's just not their business. That being said, I still congratulate them for standing their ground. Reply 5. I have worked as a bartender, and in Sweden, we get to refuse anyone's service as we please, as long as it is not due to race or religion. I would not have served a pregnant woman any alcoholic drinks. I would not have gone behind their back and got them a non-alcoholic one either. Everyone sucks here. Response 5. YTA. If you don't want to serve her, don't serve her, but don't try to trick her for her own good. You would not be the a-hole if you had told her what you heard and said you didn't feel comfortable serving her alcohol. You also could have cut them all off once you saw that they were intoxicated. That would be actually living up to your convictions and dealing with the consequences. Reply 1. Also, you were expecting to charge her for alcohol that you didn't serve her, which is theft on top of the deception. I get why you were uncomfortable, and she may be making poor life decisions, but you don't get to take her decisions from her. You get to make your own. Reply 2. This. I would assume the cocktails would be more expensive than virgin. OP was going to overcharge the woman, which could be considered stealing. Reply 3. My thing is like, if OP had told the customer what she heard, that opens up the requirement for the customer to have to explain herself. What if the circumstances are personal? Spoiler alert, pregnancy is personal as F. Like she knows it won't grow to term already, or she knows she's going to be getting an abortion. Then is she supposed to explain that to a total stranger? Just so she can continue living her life without people effing with her unbeknownst to her? I agree about living up to your convictions. If you're going to stick your nose into the business of total strangers, at least be upfront about it. Reply 4. The secretly changing the order is what I think gets me here. That's like ordering a burger. The server sees I'm very overweight and secretly changes it to a veggie patty without telling me. I'd be pissed as hell that the server thought he knew better than me what I should and shouldn't have, made the decision themselves to decide I wasn't allowed to have the real burger, and then thought they were smart enough to trick me into consuming and paying for something different than I ordered and subtly shame me for being fat. I'd still be pissed if they thought their own judgments/views came before mine and refused to serve me and got the manager instead, but trying to trick me is going way past the line. Reply 5. YTA. This is the correct answer. The same dilemma happens to pharmacists who don't want to dispense the abortion pill because they disagree with it morally. They don't get to give someone else different medicine and fraudulently trick them into thinking the prescription was filled correctly. They refuse to fill it personally and call another pharmacist in to fill the script or transfer it to a different pharmacy. I understand why you disagree with her actions, and I don't blame you for that. However, it is not okay to trick her into consuming something she didn't order and then attempt to change her receipt to hide what you did. Response 6. YTA here. You made a lot of assumptions about a woman in a situation you don't know anything about. She might not want to keep it, but ultimately it's not up to you to decide what she can or can't put into her body. In my opinion, that was a pretty big violation of her freedom of choice. You did it for the right reasons, I'll grant you that, but that doesn't make what you did right. Response 7. YTA here. Strictly because of how much trouble you can get the whole restaurant into for discrimination. It sucks majorly. I know that's a carpty position to be in. But I grew up around the bar and casino industry in Mississippi, and if your morals won't allow you to serve a pregnant woman alcohol, you tell another server or your manager and get someone else to serve her. Is that lady making a crappy choice? Likely. But is it worth the carp storm that could happen to the restaurant, the potential closures, and legal fees you might have brought down on your manager and coworkers? Not really. Response 8. What the flying F? It's everyone sucks here if she has a viable pregnancy. Women who drink while pregnant disgust me to no end. I've seen fasts. I can't believe anyone would willingly do that to their child. Reply 1. I am shocked at the amount of "Bo, you're the a-hole" posts. While I vote not the a-hole, it's at worst, everyone sucks here. If it's okay for bartenders to cut off customers they think are too drunk, is this really that far from it? Making it a virgin drink isn't a huge change. People saying they messed with a customer's order make it sound like they made something with gluten when asked for gluten-free. He should have told his boss, but overall, not the a-hole in my opinion. Reply 2. You are right, but she is not a bartender. She is not the manager. This is not her job. If she was uncomfortable, she should have told her manager, not charge her for alcoholic drinks, then give her virgin ones, which probably cost less. What she did was stealing and fraud. She tried to scam this woman into giving cheaper, non-alcoholic drinks. She may have had good intentions, but she went about it the worst and illegal way, so she is undoubtedly still an a-hole in this situation. If she had told a manager and let them handle, I'd say, not the a-hole, but she didn't. Reply 3. Yes, but they tell the customer they're cut off. They don't charge the customer for an alcoholic beverage and lie and give them a virgin drink. I voted you're the a-hole solely because he shouldn't be being that shady, and she should have spoken to the customer and said he wouldn't serve her or talk to his manager. Also, he only heard her say the phrase 14 weeks along, which does not mean she's pregnant. She could have been 14 weeks along in a variety of other things. Response 9. YTA, although it may have seemed like the right thing to do, it's not your call to make. If you had a problem serving her, you could have taken it to the manager and told the manager the situation. By taking matters into your own hand, you are risking every one of your coworkers' jobs. If she wants to be an absolute bitch, she could also have the restaurant charged with fraud or bait and switch. She ordered an alcoholic drink and was given one without alcohol without being told. They probably wouldn't find in her favor, but it would cost you and the company a lot of money and time to fight. Also, it was too late for me to edit them back, shows that you were willing to charge her full price and lie that she had been served alcohol when she hadn't. Reply 1. If you had a problem serving her, you could have taken it to the manager and told the manager the situation. By taking matters into your own hand, you are risking every one of your coworkers' job. This is the correct advice. This decision was above your pay grade. Also, you implicated a friend without telling them what was really going on. Not cool. You're the a-hole. Response 10, sorry, but you're the a-hole. I used to bartend, and I took a class where they presented us with hypothetical situations. One was something exactly like this. I initially thought I couldn't serve to a pregnant woman either. Honestly, I didn't have any moral standing. It was just a knee-jerk call. That's how I learned about it. And yeah, serious legal troubles can come from a bar turning down service like that, like the whole place shuts down legal trouble. Now, your concern of FAS is a little blown out of proportion for this situation. Some women don't know they are pregnant for weeks and still live their lives normally. I have a baby girl and her mother had an occasional glass of wine during pregnancy, and my baby is super healthy. Ideal birth. Doctor said everything was smooth sailing throughout the pregnancy and birth. I know it's not 4 mixed drinks, but again, it's not your call. Reply 1. There's lots of places in the world where a glass of alcohol a day is considered fine while pregnant. 4 glasses, though, especially in later first and second trimester, is extremely dangerous, and it's possible that even one time of doing it could cause FAS. Research isn't 100% sure, which is why it's highly recommended against. I do agree that OP shouldn't alter drinks without consent or informing, but this was not blown out of proportion. Early development, before you know you're pregnant, is not the stage most affected by alcohol. It's to do with brain development, which ultimately happens later. I'm not sure what I would have done in OP's position. If she was beyond a doubt pregnant, I don't know if I could be responsible for FAS. Though at the same time, if she was doing this tonight, she probably has done it many times before and will do it many times more. So this one refusal to serve wouldn't change anything. In general, you need to talk to someone higher, I think. Response 11. Reddit is psychotic, not the a-hole. You'd think one of her friends would have said something to her. You probably shouldn't have made the call, but your head was in the right place. I mean, Jesus. People are acting like you fed a vegan meat intentionally or gave someone wheat when they have a gluten allergy. You didn't mess with her food. You didn't jeopardize her health or well-being at all. I had a friend whose mom drank a lot when she was pregnant, and she's got a ton of allergies and gets sick very easily, almost like a person who was born premature might have. Even if she didn't have FAS, she has problems that likely stem from that behavior. Reply 1. Is her reasoning wrong? No. Sounds like she thought she was doing the right thing. However, intentions aren't what matters in the end. And the fact of the matter is, it's not within the scope of her job to act on overheard information that is unverifiable. And she got her employer in trouble with the law because, in fact, what she did is not legal and falls under discrimination in their jurisdiction. Reply 2. That, and I think it is very unlikely that 4 adult women knew one was pregnant and kept drinking, with none of them thinking that was an issue. It's just a very uncommon stance. Response 12. YTA, and I'd put money on the woman not even being pregnant. It would probably be quite hard to find 3 other people who are so nonchalant about a woman in her second trimester knocking back drinks. You eavesdropped, OP. How can you be sure you were right? Consider the following conversation. Well, I think the sickest I've ever been was that time I was pregnant with Nora. I mean, it wasn't morning sickness. It was that time John and I went on that cruise. You never heard that story? Okay, I'm 14 weeks pregnant and we want to take one last vacation before the baby comes, but before I'm all big and sweaty and uncomfortable. So we booked this Caribbean cruise and I'm stoked. I've never been on a cruise before. How should I know I get seasick? I was miserable the entire time, but I don't want to take anything, obviously. No morning sickness at all. In fact, when I told John I was pregnant, he threw up. Haha, you try for a baby for 2 years, and when it finally happens, you're still scared as carp. Yeah, it's crazy, she's turning 5 this year. Do you see how if you drifted in and out of that conversation, you could catch the totally wrong idea? Reply 1. Thank you. So many people are applauding OP's behavior, which was done completely on assumption with no confirmation this woman was currently pregnant. Like, what the hell, if anything, OP's TA for being nosy? Response 13, YTA, but I still feel in the right here. You aren't. You do not decide who drinks and who doesn't. You don't change orders without the customer knowing. You don't make some kind of half-assed medical judgment when your medical knowledge is 0. Zip nada. It was too late for me to edit them back. Had you done so, it would have been fraud. Altering records to hide your actions? I'm curious now. Have you done that before? How often? Is your boss aware of this as well? That you edit receipts? Wait, I've just reread this. She ordered a drink, you then gave her another drink she didn't order. And you were then going to alter the receipt to cover your rear? You do not ever force your morals onto other people. If she sues, the restaurant will get hammered. She is an adult, her choice, her body, and none of your business. Reply 1. Morals. Drinking during pregnancy is extremely harmful to the baby. It's a proven fact. It's not a moral. Reply 2. So then you refuse to serve her. You don't lie to her, commit fraud, and then whine about how you feel you're in the right. If you're not comfortable with a sale, you don't make the sale. Reply 3. This may be so, but it's still not the server's decision. Also, the correct word is conviction. Drinking while pregnant is not illegal. Dumb, especially at 14 weeks. But someone who believes alcohol is off limits for a certain population is a conviction. Reply 4. Agreed, but like many others have said, there were many other reasons why she might have been drinking. Maybe she's aborting the baby. Maybe she isn't pregnant, etc., etc. And even if the lady was being a complete cunt and subjecting her infant to possible ass, OP could have raised her concerns to the lady in question or to the manager. A simple, I don't think she should continue drinking, and I do not feel comfortable waiting that table, might have had way less serious consequences than getting possibly slapped with discrimination charges and damn near fraud if she had realized her colleague had edited the drink orders fast enough. Response 14, YTA. This was actually one of the things I learned in TIPS, bartending training. Pregnancy is considered a disability under the ADA, and you opened yourself and the restaurant up for a lawsuit. While you don't agree with her decision, it is her decision. I don't think it was your place to decide for her. Response 15. ESH. Lying to her makes you TA. You should have just refused her service. You're presumably allowed to refuse service to irresponsible people, and she's clearly irresponsible if she's pregnant and drinking that much. Response 16. During my second pregnancy, I went to my friend's bachelorette party. Was about 7 months along and finally feeling good enough to go out. Morning sickness lasted way too long. We were dancing, having a great time at the bar, and I was drinking cranberry juice, no alcohol. Cannot tell you the number of times some know-it-all 20-something had the audacity to come up to me and lecture me that I shouldn't be drinking. It was so rude and offensive that I didn't even tell them they were virgin drinks. I just chug it down in front of them. Even had one dude tell me that I was out too late and should be home resting. Even though my OBGYN has just told me that morning to go out and have fun after the hellacious first 2 trimesters I had slogged through. Ugh. Strangers who unsolicitedly assume to know better than you about your own life/body are the absolute worst. You're the a-hole. Reply 1. Thank you for sharing that. People convinced they are right can misuse that to be incredibly rude and controlling to people. Response 17. YTA, but only because you made this decision unilaterally. What I would have done would be to tell the bartender that the woman is possibly or probably pregnant. Then it is the bartender's decision whether it is safe and responsible to serve her, a call which is within his purview as bartender. If he does not feel comfortable making that call, then he can call his manager, who also is responsible for that determination. In both those cases, then, the situation would be explained to the woman. But for you, as a server, to do a bamboozle is just underhanded and way overstepping your mark. Response 18. I have a friend who found out her baby had died in utero when she was 8 months pregnant. From the doctor's office, she and her husband went straight into a chain bar restaurant and both ordered a double whiskey. As she was drinking hers, an older lady came to lecture her how drinking could kill her baby. For obvious reasons, she lost her carp. Moral of the story: mind your own damn business. You have no idea what's going on in other people's lives. You're the a-hole. You are not her daughter, nor her mother. Just do your damn job. Response 19. Okay, I'm a woman. I don't think it's an a-hole thing to do. I'm pro-choice, but I'm not pro-intentionally drinking while pregnant. Nope. Even if it already had a problem, even if she was going to abort it. I'm actually kind of surprised it's not illegal to serve alcohol to a pregnant person. Not the a-hole. Sorry about all the flack you're getting. Reply 1. No offense, but your position seems a bit contradictory to me. The advice to women not to drink at all is generally because the people giving advice don't trust women to stop after a safe amount. But if she can have autonomy to the point of terminating a healthy fetus or not terminating an unhealthy one, should she not have autonomy to make her own health-related decisions about it? Especially when the science here does leave room for interpretation. How much is safe? It's not illegal to serve fat people junk food. Reply 2. I know in other countries, like French women eat soft cheese when pregnant, Japanese women still eat sushi. I'm just saying we tend not to study how much is too much, for sort of obvious reasons. It's all about risk, and we try to minimize the risk of fetal abnormality, even if you can't enjoy certain things. Women don't have some magic spidey sense that tells them, oh, I can have half a standard drink more, and the baby will still come out basically fine. Reply 3. Exactly. Different places and cultures have different approaches to risk. And as you say, it's not like you can just feed a pregnant woman 10 units to see what happens. But this means there are no hard and fast rules and not a lot of basis for any. Pregnant people need to make their own decisions based on the information they can access and decide for themselves whose advice to follow. Which I don't know about this lady, but for me, that wouldn't be the advice of my waiter. Response 20. Drinking whilst pregnant is an awful thing to do. Morally, you absolutely did the right thing, so I'm going to say, not the a-hole. Although, from a work perspective, you did take some big risks, but I still think you did the right thing. I would struggle to knowingly serve a pregnant woman alcohol without saying anything.